Dzień dobry, assalamu alaikum, namaste, bonjour, konnichiwa, guten morgen. Good morning, good morning, good morning. It's Ken at 10. How are you today? As usual, broadcasting for you daily. And welcome if you're back again for another helping. And if you've never joined us before, then you're very welcome to. Nice to virtually meet you. We are James Alexander Estate Agents. We broadcast daily from our offices in southwest London, an area called Norbury, which if you don't know is situated smack bang in the middle of Streatham and Croydon, and we're a Zone 3 commuting area with lots of lovely people and lots of lovely properties. So how are you today? Hope you're doing well. Today, I'd like to give a quick weather report here from southwest London because we have many international viewers from all over the world. And today it's a bit grey and overcast, really. It's quite a strange one. Hopefully it will warm up for the weekend, but the forecasts don't look good. Wet, wet and wetter. Welcome to Blighty. Bank holiday Britain. Always the way, isn't it? It's always raining on a bank holiday. Very frustrating. Few things. First of all, why the number 63 behind me? Well, those of you regular viewers will know that that's because there are 63 days remaining until the end of the first stamp duty holiday. That's the June holiday, where you can save potentially up to £15,000, depending on the purchase price of the property you're buying. And it's a big thing. Lots of people are doing it. And what does it mean? It means that the housing market is off the scale busy right now. We're very hopeful because there's been so much traction now that traction will continue post the deadline. Certainly there's still an incentive to do so between June and September, but the savings are much smaller. 2,500 plays 15,000. That's the difference. Maximum saving at the new 250,000 is 2,500 as opposed, and that goes on until September. And the June deadline is 15,000 and that ends on 30th of June. Now, on from that, lots of people are quoting unrealistic figures on their properties and wondering why they're not moving. Oh, that's the reason. You can't just ask anything and expect people are going to pay anything just because they're saving 15,000. So that's been a strange one. I'll tell you what else. Government receipts for stamp duty are through the roof, believe it or not. Even though they're giving £15,000 relief, they're getting more stamp duty receipts than ever before. Now, this is really interesting and wasn't anticipated by the government when they brought this in. But what it goes to show is that if you give people incentive, they will move. They're prepared to move, but they do see stamp duty as an unreasonable tax. Does that mean the government will abolish stamp duty? Not a chance, in my view. I hope so. I hope they'll certainly rehash it in another form, because there is an old adage that the more you tax people, the less likely they are to do the thing that's being taxed. And in this case, that's certainly true. And if you tax people too much, what happens is that your receipts go down because people are less likely to go ahead with their decisions. Or there becomes a black market and other things, but obviously in housing that's not really possible. So what tends to happen is people move or they don't, and if they move, then the stamp duty still means the government receive masses of stamp duty. And I think they're beginning to realise, hopefully from this, that the massive receipts that they're bringing in would continue had they been more reasonable about the rates of stamp duty. I mean, it is so punitive. It's such a lot of money for young families, especially here in London, where the average prices are much higher. It's very, very hard for people to find that money. So I hope that they'll consider addressing it now that they can see the impact it's had on the housing market, which has been massive. On to property news today. Prices could climb 23,000, says research from an estate and letting agent. This is an article in the Daily Express. They love a house price article in the Daily Express, don't they? The analysis shows that since the Chancellor announced a tax break in July, house prices have increased by an average of 0.84% each month, hitting 268,000. If it continues, the average price could be 23,000 higher by the end of 2021. But will it? That's the big question, isn't it? That's the question on everybody's lips, especially with this deadline looming. So we'll see. Banks have reported a rise in mortgage lending. Well, there's no surprise there, is there? All the more, they've said that Bank of Mum is to become a necessity because parents are now going to greater lengths to assist children to get a foot on the property ladder, according to the bank. In a survey of more than 1,000 prospective first-time buyers, it found 38% of parents are remortgaging and releasing equity in their property. 38% of people are refinancing their own property to release money for their family members. But, you know, what better reason than to help out your children? That's what I say. I think it's great. But interesting, and obviously goes to show that people need a leg up, and for those that don't have a leg up, these new 95% mortgages will hopefully be a great help. Landlords are moving up north in search of great yields. Landlords are abandoning the south in favour of higher rental yields available in other parts of Britain. This is a Hamptons International survey, and it shows that investors are increasingly ditching lower yielding properties in the wake of the government's buy-to-let tax squeeze and buying in the North and Midlands, where the average yield is much higher. Landlord purchases achieved yields of more than 5% in 55% of landlord purchases, compared with 35% with just sellers. MPs are voting against the law to help mortgage prisoners. That's a bit of a frustration. I said this was coming yesterday, and for me, they should be helping people that are trapped in these horrible mortgage situations. The smallest property has just gone on the market, and this is quite an interesting one. You quite like this. A tiny house, which is 12 feet wide. 12 feet wide, a detached house. It looks like, I don't know, it just looks really odd. And this is a unique 2-bedroom property, believed to be the smallest detached home in Britain. It's up for sale in Eastwood in Nottingham. And if you fancy it, it's on the market for 140,000. It's even narrower than the 150-year-old one in Knighton, Leicester, which is 13 foot wide. Built in the early 1900s, the Victorian building has since been fully modernised by the owner the last 2 years, but it's still 100,000 cheaper than the UK average house price. The mini home in Queen Square includes an entrance hall, 2 reception rooms, kitchen, 2 double bedrooms, and is split across 2 floors, as well as a luxurious freestanding roll-top bath and shower. The estate agent says it's available for 243,000 less than the average 383,000 UK detached home price, as its size is a quirk. Very interesting. So busy day today, lots of valuations coming in, lots of people asking the same question. Will we make the stamp duty deadline if we go ahead today? Probably not, frankly. And your agent might tell you that you will easily, in which case I would say that's questionable. And I think that any good estate agent should be having that hard discussion with buyers, saying, look, if you don't make that stamp duty deadline, is this a deal breaker for you? And if it is, we might have to go for a buyer. If there's another option out there, another buyer, it might be that we choose another buyer over you if that is a deal breaker for you. Many people now are expecting and anticipating to hit that June deadline, and now we've got 63 days left, just over 2 months. That's not very long when you think the average purchase time before the pandemic was 8 to 12 weeks, and now it's more 16 to 18 weeks. So it will be very difficult to meet that deadline. I'm not saying it's impossible. It's possible, it's doable, and there are some that we are moving heaven and earth to try and do it with now, but it's not going to be easy, and you need proper advice. And if it's not going to happen, you need frank and honest advice. That's the really important thing, and we're those people. Sometimes we're blunt, and we don't mean to be, but we are honest. We like to point out where the shortcomings are in properties, not just all the positives. We know you love your home, and we want to love it too, because that's how we sell it, by loving it. But also we've got to take a pragmatic approach and look at it through buyers' eyes. What will they like? What will they dislike? Let's enhance the things that the buyers would like. Let's try and mask the things they wouldn't like, or make it so as it looks the best it possibly can be. I think part of an estate agent's job, and quite an underrated one, is making sure that the house presents, or the flat presents, as well as it possibly can. Part of that is the agent's job to advise the client on what can be done to enhance its appeal. We're doing that on many of our instructions right now. And we've got some exciting instructions coming up for you as well. They're still coming through thick and fast. Our photographer's ran off his feet, poor Peter, but things are going well. So expect to see many more instructions coming on the market with us. Stay safe, look after your family and friends. Have a fantastic day, and we'll speak to you again around this time tomorrow if I can. I'm off on a little break tomorrow with the wife. It's her birthday coming up. Hi, Maria, if you're watching. Happy birthday for tomorrow. Well, actually, it's not tomorrow. It's actually going to be, when is it? It's going to be Saturday, and we're going to be away celebrating a little cottage we booked in. So looking forward to that. And so we may not get Ken at 10 tomorrow. I'll try and do it in the car if I can. It depends if we're caught in traffic or not. Other than that, I might do it a little bit later than usual. So stay safe and well. Have a fantastic Thursday, and we'll speak to you again soon.
You'd like to speak to Eva, yeah?